The essayist and wit H.L. Mencken said, God is a comedian playing to an audience too scared to laugh. Maybe that's why sometimes this evening I wondered if I'm God. Somebody very quick to laugh there to publicly disprove my divinity. The vast majority still cling on in silent hope, thank you. So like for the end of this show, I really wanted to do an interview with a... Oh, I'll get on the mic, that's exciting. Oh, right, so at the end of the show, I really wanted to get someone to speak to who wouldn't normally be interviewed. Perhaps an artist who's normally a little bit interview shy, something completely unrehearsed, unscripted. And so, but I don't know any artists. So I spoke to Luke, I spoke to Ross, I spoke to Joe, and I said, guys, can you go in your little black books and can you look for an artist that you know, someone famous that everyone in the audience will know, who doesn't normally do interviews, someone who I can actually get something interesting out of. I've never interviewed before, so I thought it'd be good. And they did, and then 3 days ago, we found someone. A little bit embarrassing, actually. All three of them found a celebrity and invited them here. We've actually run out of time, so we can only interview one of them. So I'm going to give you, what I'd suggest is I will give you the three names of these celebrities, and two of them will get to will have their fear of being interviewed. Your rejection will only confirm that, and the other one will be dragged out on stage to finally reveal something about themselves, and we'll discover what's going to happen together. So I'll probably get you to do a little shout or something like that. But so the three people that we've got ready for you this evening, waiting in the wing, is we've got reclusive. We've got reclusive. No, not Joe Dunford. It's not the reveal. So we've got reclusive postmodern novelist Thomas Pynchon. Yeah, you're allowed to whoop. There's no need to be so beautifully reserved. So we've also got less reclusive, but certainly not publicity hungry. Alternative musician PJ Harvey. Interesting. And we've also got, all the way from Japan, Super Mario Brothers creator Shigeru Miyamoto. So I feel there was some ambiguity there. Some of you may have held back at the beginning, not knowing what delights waited for you, and then found yourself stuck at the end. So I'm just going to, I'm getting looks from backstage. Right, so just to give you one chance again, give a whoop if you'd like to me to interview Thomas Pynchon. One person did a fist pump, the rest of you misgauged the move. So one person's still whooping, it's over. I'm sorry. Who would like to hear from PJ Harvey? Someone added a clap there to try and stuff the ballot box. That was exciting, and I like your strategy. I think you may have just done like rock horns as well. That's 3 votes we get now. That's how it works, guys. And finally, would anybody like to hear from Super Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto? Oh, I think the answer to that, I don't want to tip it either way, but I think genuinely, based on the two things, I think we need to get Shigeru Miyamoto out. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please give a big round of applause to ask the final guest on the finale of this homework season, Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto. Take a seat, Konnichiwa, Miyamoto-sama, Konnichiwa, Timbers. Yes, interesting route.
Please, thank you.
Wonderful that you travelled all this way. You seem stunned by what? You seem stunned by the presence of people. Is this you're not used to these these kind of audiences in Japan?
No, we don't do it like this. No, not in
may I ask
Japan.
How you would normally interview a recluse in Japan?
One at a time behind the curtain. Yeah.
How was it? May I ask? How was the tension behind the curtain with Thomas and Peach?
We passed the time with a game of rock, paper, scissors.
Did you have any paper, any particular one of those three of that triumvirate?
I always go with the magic claw. Never fails.
The magic claw that beats all three claw tears paper.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So for those of you who don't know, Miyamoto-sama is he was the creator of Nintendo's, the father of Nintendo, father of modern gaming. So I want to sort of begin at the beginning though. For those people who maybe aren't gamers in the audience, can I have a whoop from any gamers in the audience? One whoop from a gamer who I believe voted for Thomas Pynchon. Mixed messages there. The quick-upbeat nature of the English.
I also whooped for Thomas Pynchon.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, and still Pynchon fans out there. You're a controversial choice. You're divisive. Your presence here, but it's wonderful to have you. So, I understand you were born in the Japanese town of Sonobe, rural northeast Kyoto, on November 16th, 1952. Now, your father was an English teacher. Give us a picture of what was life like in the Miyamoto household.
My father was indeed an English teacher. My mother was a Japanese teacher, and that's how I learned Japanese.
He struck a fortune.
It was. I mean, I remember clearly all my friends saying, "You're very lucky that your mum's a Japanese teacher," and I said, "I know I am. I mean, you're lucky that I can understand you." Yeah. I used a combination of English, Japanese, and sort of touching. I touched Swahili. I touched people in Swahili. And often I would be very cold, and the goosebumps on my legs would luckily spell out messages in Braille, which I would invite my friends to touch. They would touch my legs.
A primitive game, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly, and that's where I got the idea for being a man who makes video games.
Checking their little ontological panic there. You checked and you are indeed.
Yes.
Of course you are. Yeah. Now I understand perhaps some of this fear about who you are and this goosebumps that you experienced. And I understand that on one of you used to go out into the countryside, and on one of your expeditions you wandered into a cave in the countryside, and that became the inspiration for something. And you could tell us. Put us in the picture there. Now, what was it like walking into this cave? What happened? What was the seminal moment you had in this cave?
I didn't have a seminal moment in the cave.
I must say your grasp of English entendre is fantastic. Your mother.
She did. Yes. My seminal moment happened much long before then. This was.
Well, yeah, I mean, you feel free to.
No, this was hours after my seminal moment. In fact, I was punished for my seminal moment by being banished into a cave in the countryside. Yes, it was a thing. It was a family tradition. After the first child has his seminal moment, he's banished into the countryside, sent into a cave to have a jolly good think about it on his own, and to experience the void. And I looked into the darkness, and I didn't know.
Erotic in itself.
I'll be frank. That's when I had my second seminal moment. The darkness. People say if you look into the darkness will look back.
And we see this eroticism embedded like a penis through a stick of rock in the Legend of Zelda.
Yes. And the Legend of Zelda is actually a myth. Not a lot of people know this. No, it's a myth.
No, our time is limited, so I'll hurry you through the kind of this. What I want to talk about is, because what everyone here wants to talk about is one of the games that changed changed video gaming and the world in general. Now, in 1981, you were asked to come up with an idea for a game after the failure of Missile Command, and you imagined many plot ideas and concepts, and eventually you came up with this idea for Donkey Kong, which is a love triangle between a gorilla, a carpenter, and a lady. Now, is this based on any from your real life?
Well, the gorilla, the carpenter, and the donkey,
and the lady,
and the lady.
I mean, obviously there's some translation issues here. I understand. Donkey Kong is the name of the game. There was a gorilla who is Donkey Kong, and the carpenter and they are in a love triangle.
Yes, yeah. Well, they're in a love triangle. They were also on my. They're part of the family coat of arms. And the Donkey Kong is my totem animal. Yes. That's when I went into the cave in the countryside. I didn't know whether my eyes were open or shut, and after a while I started to see different kinds of animals, and after a while it was very clear that I was looking at a Donkey Kong.
May I ask, did he favour you with any words of wisdom at all?
He did.
I won't stab in the dark, man.
He said, Shiguru.
With your name there. He didn't know the correct honorific, obviously.
No, exactly. I mean, he wanted to call me Mamamoto, but he knew his manners. In my village, it's very bad manners to call the young boy having his second son at the moment by his surname. So he called me by my first name, and he said to me, Shiguru, I want you to turn around, and I want you to go back into the brightness of the wide world, and I want you to make me into a computer game.
Really? And so you turned your back on the spirit gorilla?
I spun on my heel like a ballerina, and I never heard or saw him again until about 6 or 7 years later, when I was asked to design this game, and Donkey Kong
popped out there like a lovely creative cyst.
It popped out like a creative cyst. Yes.
I'm sorry, I kind of want to hurry you on, because I realised that this carpenter that appeared in your game, as of course you know, and I'm just restating it for the ignorant in the audience, was to become Super Mario.
Yes.
You hesitated there because you wanted to let me have that moment of glory, but of course.
Yes. Well, of course, one man's carpenter is another man's Messiah. And in many ways, Super Mario. Exactly, it's not exactly.
You wouldn't know it.
And in many ways, Super Mario was my slant on the Christian tradition. Super Mario.
It's all over it, isn't it?
Well, yes, and not a lot of people get it at first glance. I see Super Mario in many ways like the great cathedral at Chartres. And if you go to that cathedral, you will see many things that mystify you, and you don't exactly understand how that fits in with the Christian religion. And I think Super Mario, particularly, is analogous to that.
Incredible, thank you so much. One of the things I wanted to talk about, because this is the best-selling game of all time for approximately 3 decades, and you've created other titles like Kid Icarus, and Ice Climber, and Excite Bike, and the Kirby series. Now, what I want to know is there must have been some games. There must have been a game that you created that maybe didn't get off the drawing board, that for some reason, some frustration, you wasn't able to get through, some kind of bureaucracy. I don't know what game. Were you not able to make? Can you describe a game that perhaps you weren't able to bring to the people of the world?
Bobsleigh Biscuit. Bobsleigh Biscuit. In many ways, it was based on a flawed algorithm. I loved the visuals, and I loved the suspense. But I think ultimately it was a bit too biscuity. And
long biscuit, short and sleigh.
Yeah, well, exactly. and it was the bobsleigh that people were really captured by, and that's what people went out and bought it on the name of the bobsleigh really, and when they saw that there was too much biscuit, it was the biggest returned game of
It was a great video game crash, wasn't it? I believe most of the copies of that game are now buried in a landfill in just outside Atlanta in the desert.
And a few of my biggest fans actually go there and try and dig them up.
Well, and now everybody knows where they are. That's incredible. Now, it's been wonderful to have you. We're kind of like running out of time. One final thing I want to say is, my understanding, one person whooped that we're running out of time. Interesting response, but then it's a cultural thing. Don't worry about it. It's not about you. You've been so entertaining.
Thank you.
I know you're very shy. You don't normally sign autographs. You don't like to be interviewed, and you actually, although you're a game designer, don't enjoy playing video games. You've said, and I read this. I may be wrong when I was doing my research. Miyamoto enjoys rearranging furniture in his house, even late at night. He has also stated that he has a hobby of guessing the measurements of objects, then checking to see if he was correct. And apparently always carries a tape measure with him everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
And I was wondering if you would, because we want to make you feel welcome, would you care to indulge that hobby now and perhaps guess? I mean, I'm assuming you've got your tape measure.
Oh yes, I do. I have my tape measure with me. Yes. It's
now,
actually, right now, my tape measure is.
Because I have a tape measure. If you would like.
Thank you. Yes. No, you see, I've got a wound, and I've just had to use it to tape up the wound around my. I've got a Bitcoin wedged into my. A Bitcoin in my thigh, and taking up my tape measure.
Now, would you like to pick something and then guess the size of it at all?
Yeah, I'm looking at this plinth, and
you must be pretty good at this by now. This is you spend most of your leisure time guessing the sizes of objects and then measuring.
We have a lot of these. We have a lot of these in where I'm from. I was born within a
plinth.
Within a plinth. Yes.
A Japanese plinth.
Yes. There's a traditional Japanese birth within a plinth, and you get a carpenter to cut you out, and
then hence the Mario's featuring in the Christian and it's kind of a reverb.
Exactly.
You know, they all know this.
The symbolisms of this.
So how big, Miyamoto-sama, would you consider this plinth? To be one person's immediately, I don't know, is waving at you?
She's trying to put me off, but you can't put me off.
I'm very short.
You're very short. I'm not going to guess you. I'm guessing the plinth. I imagine you're clearly. You're probably 156 centimetres.
I'm twice as high as that, obviously.
The plinth is.
This is tension in the room. It's
Please don't put me off.
This guy's the master of entertainment in the Western and Eastern world. But you could just give him some respectful silence, otherwise he might get it wrong.
It's 110 centimetres high, and it is 45 centimetres across the top of the.
Shall I measure it for you?
Please do.
Okay, Miyamoto-sama, the light height of the plinth is, in fact, I've got no idea. I've never done a practical thing like it. It's in fact 93 centimetres high. The room's turned, and 14 and a half.
I was talking about that. I was clearly talking about it. Please, I demand the ring measure.
Thank you. You're so. Thank you. That's. I venerate and disapprove of your enthusiasm. And it's 50 centimetres across, ladies and gentlemen.
That's close.
The room's turned. Thank you. Wonderful. So, just before we finish off, I just want to. It's been wonderful to have you here talking about your seminal moments.
I'm sorry about my wife, by the way.
Her love radiates from her face.
In Japan, this is good manners.
No, it's wonderful to see the bond between you, and I'm sure you'll spend all your time after you come off stage with her.
This is why I never do interviews.
So I just wanted to throw it out to the room, just to finish off. Does anyone here, because after this, my somebody rarely seen doing an interview. Does anybody have a question? An interview question. That was a little bit of tautology just to check whether your English was good or not. He spotted it, his eye twitched. I know, hang on, I know this one, tautology. Right, does anybody here have a question for Shigeru Miyamoto? Please put your hand up if you do. Anyone with a burning question at all? Like a field of wheat that's been mown in the early autumn. No hands go up.
There's a man there at the back has a question.
A man at the back with the question. Could you please stand up and say in a loud, clear voice your question?
Explain the GameCube.
Could you explain the GameCube? You know, interpret that however you wish. Explain. Actually, I'm not going to be. What is it? Explain the GameCube.
The GameCube
as it's created.
The controller was amazing.
Say that again.
The controller was the best thing.
Oh well, I'm glad you've got that. Yes. When people said don't put a controller. I said no. I said I want a controller on the GameCube, and people said no, they won't understand it. People don't want controllers, and I said trust me. I'm Shigeru Miyamoto, and I'm into Super Mario. We're having a controller on this one. Now, young man, what was your question again? It was
explain the GameCube.
Explain it. I can't do that. It's under copyright. No, I was inspired by the Rubik's Cube, and I wanted to take the Rubik's Cube into the into the kitchen, into the bedroom. I wanted to take it everywhere, but have a controller.
And the GameCube is an erotic puzzle box. Of course it is. It's nothing else. Well, I think that's a wonderful explanation. Just one more question I think we've got time for. Anyone else want to put their hand up? Anyone else got a question for Shigeru Miyamoto? There's a hand going down on someone's face there. Joe Duncan is touching a man's shoulder. He looks revolted, as if some kind of smelly claw has just landed and started licking his ear. He recoiled from Joe Duncan, as so rarely happens. Normally people are glad to see him, doors open for him, but today the man was revolted and scared. Do you have a question, sir, or was Joe Duncan trying to remove you, perhaps? No question. Anybody else got a question for Shigeru? One more.
It was the guy behind him.
The guy behind him. Okay. Guy behind him. Could you, in a loud, clear voice, tell us your question?
I think I'm okay.
That seems ambiguous. Maybe in Japanese that has some kind of Zenish proverb. Would you care to respond with some kind of
we call that a koan question in Japan.
Yes, and there's no answer to it at all. You don't have any koan to respond.
The answer to the question is yes, you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to wind it up there. Will you please give a big hand? Konnichiwa.